So I sat down to write this book, and I had an idea for a book coming already around a Hopi poem called "We Are the Ones We've Been Waiting For." How many people have heard this poem? It's a fantastic poem. She says, read it. I will read it in a second. So I had an idea to write a book around this poem, and I sat down to write this book, and it's a very powerful poem. It's really speaks about the current times we live in and the transition that Dr. Costa and so many here talk about and live and breathe. And it's so nice having you all sit so close. It's really warming. And about letting go of the shore, letting go of our fears and falling into the river and seeing who is there with us and celebrating this letting go of what stops us from evolving further. And I sat down to write this book, and for 2 weeks, nothing happened. I would build a fire in my studio every day at like 4 in the morning, and nothing, I couldn't write at all. This was completely like not normal for me. I'm a writer, but I couldn't write. And then one day, I was sitting there at my computer, this very computer, and all of a sudden, I felt a portal in the right side of my neck open up. And through this portal, words just started pouring in. And I began typing these words. Like, they came in so fast and it's wild, because I would type and the words would come out all jumbled. It almost looked like shorthand the way I would write, because there'd be so many typos, because the words would come through so quickly. And it was so visceral. It was like I could see that these words were being transmitted from a blue planet. And this blue planet, there was a council of elders around this planet, or connected to this planet, that were transmitting this information to me. So I'd never had an experience like this before. I mean, I'd done some work with angels and worked with some of the different prophets, Jesus and Moses and Muhammad, but I'd never, aliens, come on, it wasn't my thing at all, So these people as well were blue. The planet was blue, and these people were blue. And so I just went with it. I said, okay, this is what I'm meant to do. And when I felt into this blue planet, it's a very beautiful place, very lush, a lot of water, it's just like really, really lush and really, really healthy, this blue planet. And so I'm writing, and I write this book, The Way Home, and I called it The Way Home because every time I asked these beings where this information is coming from, and they said home. That was their answer to me, was home. This is home. And I'm like, my home? And they're like, yes, your home, and it's home. It's a book about home. It's about all of us going home. And so I wrote this book, and I kind of freaked out after writing this book. I was like, okay, what is this, and how can I stand in this, and how am I going to bring this out into the world, because I don't even feel comfortable barely talking to anyone about it. And I then went with my wife to see a film, and the film was called Avatar. How many people saw the film Avatar, right? So I go to see this film, and I knew nothing about the film, and all of a sudden there's these blue beings called the Na'vi in the film, and this lush planet, and I'm just like, holy shit. I'm like, that's them. I'm like, that is them. That's the people. That's the blue planet. I was literally flipping out, like, right? And I'm telling my wife this, and she's going, he's crazy. Right? But you have to be a little crazy, right, to do this work anyway. Right? So I said, that's them. I know it. I absolutely know it. And I can't believe that this was, they brought this transmission for such a mass audience. But at the same time, they're hidden. There's a way the Arcturians are kind of hidden. They're not out there like the Pleiadians are, for example, or some of the other, or even the angels. Or they're more hidden to us in some ways, right? And so then I had to know, because somebody was saying in here, a couple different people are saying, like, proof. I think living in the third dimension, we almost need like scientific proof to really to really know this stuff is real. At least that's how I feel a lot of the time. And so then I went to see another psychic, intuitive healer woman. Her name was Mona in Bend. And towards the end of my session, really the only reason I went to her was to ask her this question, but I laid down, I was laying on the table, and I didn't tell her anything about it or anything like that. And I said, so I wrote this book and I believe it's channeled. Where is it from? And I just knew she had the power of sight in that moment for me to see. And she says, oh, this is from the Arcturians. She says, the blue planet. She says, you're one of them, right? This is what she says to me, right? You're one of them, right? And then she says, have you ever seen the film Avatar? She says, that's them, right? I said, okay, that's all the proof I need, right? And then subsequently, I was invited to World Healer Conference, so that prophecy came true too last year. And last year was so freeing for me because I got to stand in this element of it. Because when I go out in the world, I don't know how many of you feel this way with your inner guidance and, you know, whoever you speak with. But for me, it's kind of difficult to sit in front of a group of people and say, okay, blue planet and Arcturians and blah, blah, blah. It's challenging. You know, it's challenging to bring that into the third dimension. So, like, it was so freeing to do that here last year. And I still had that part of me, though, that didn't quite believe all the way, right? And I think I still have that part. Like, is this stuff really real, you know? And so after the conference last year, when I felt so much just open around this, I was driving home with the folks I came with who played music with me, and we did some stuff. And we stopped on the side of the road at one point because there was a traffic jam. And there were some beehives around. And a bee came and stung me right in the third eye, right? Right in the third eye, I swear. And my face swelled up. My face swelled up, and my friends are looking at me, Lucius and Julie, they're looking at me and they're going, oh my God, man, you got to see your face. I'm like, what are you talking about? What's happening? Like driving the van, like everything's fine, you know? They're like, no, dude, you're looking like one of those guys from Avatar. And like my forehead was protruding and like my eyes got like smaller and more slanty. And so for like 2 days after the World Healer Conference last year, I got to walk around looking like one of these Arcturian beings from the film Avatar. So that's been my journey with this up until this point.
Did that help?
It all